But one thing that kind of made me a little like feel some type of way was after that, my classmates, they started, I guess, like treating me a little bit different. Hi, welcome to the Memory Club podcast. And we're pretty much like a book club, but we share memories. My name is Vit.
And I'm his co-host James. So today, we're gonna share our favorite Christmas song. So, why don't you share yours first?
Have you heard of the song Winter Things
Winter Things.
by Ariana Grande?
I might have heard it, but I just don't remember the song because I think I've heard every single song that Ariana Grande sang for Christmas.
Every?
I think
Dude,
so.
she
I
has a
think I've
lot.
heard I've
She
heard the
has.
whole album. I just put it on play and then I listen to it while I'm driving. So that's why I might not just
Oh,
remember the song
gotcha.
title.
Okay,
That's your favorite song?
fair. Yeah. What
Oh,
about you?
okay. So I have actually two favorites. So they're both kind of basic, but one is it's classic. All I Want for Christmas Is You by Mariah Carey. I mean, that's a
Okay.
classic. Everybody loves it, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then another one is Mistletoe by Justin Bieber.
Oh, that's good.
You,
That's
you
a
know,
good
you
one.
know, I actually like that song. Um,
Yeah.
so a little bit of older and a little bit of more the modern one.
He should he should make a new version of that. I feel like it'll be like really good.
Ooh,
Like a mod. I mean, it's still
it's still
good,
good, but like
but
a
like,
second version
with
of
his
like a
new
yeah.
yeah, his new vocals, because I think that was like, when he was a little bit younger.
I agree.
I
I
feel
agree.
like if he did a modern take on it, it would be, I don't know. It might be a little bit, it might be Mariah Carey's level, but maybe not.
Could be.
Okay, do you wanna like let us know what the topic is for this week?
So today's topic is so there are times in your life where you get an accomplishment or you feel extremely proud or something that happens or you do that's like a big confidence boost, and
Mm-hmm.
something that you've it's such a big confidence boost that you can look back in time and like it still kind of brings back that confidence in you when you look back to that time. Okay, so
Okay, did you interpret this as like a turning point, or is it just like just like a boost of, I don't know, like ego or whatnot, or like, self-worth, or how did you
mm,
interpret this question?
I considered it as like uh I would say it's a pretty big turning point in my life. Um
Okay.
Not to a point where I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm just like a completely new person. But to a point where I'm like I still look back to that time and I'm like I'm I feel like that actually made a big change and I can look back to that time and gain some
Mm,
like a motivation and strength from that time.
okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I pretty much did the same thing
Yeah.
with it. Pretty much like a turning point, um, or like a growth, like a good spurt of growth for me. Yeah.
So I'll go first. So this was when I have to go back to I think 2017, 2018,
Okay.
and I was working in SF, and I hit my all-time highest body weight, which was like 200, I think 12, 200, no, not 212, like
Oh
207-ish
dang.
pounds, and I'm 5'7", so 5'7" and 200 like 7 pounds. That's not like super like big muscular. Like I don't have that much muscle, so that's really heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Okay.
when my confidence was like really low at the time. And and then after I finished working, I came home and I kind of just like had a moment where like I really need to lose weight. And my mom was also giving me hella shit for not like being so fat. So
Okay.
So I went on this diet, and I would say it was a little extreme. Um, I did, you know, those like intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
So I did intermittent fasting from 12 to I think 4 p.m. So I only had 4 hours of eating period, and I just did like a one meal, and that one meal was like really lean too. It was like chicken breast and broccoli, and
Mm.
occasionally a little bit of rice. And so I
Okay.
did that diet for a couple of months, and I dropped my weight from like 207 to I would say about 170. I think 170, yeah, in the 170s.
207, 170.
So yeah, I lost about
Oh,
40
that's pretty
pounds.
good.
I lost 40 pounds
That's
in
pretty good.
about, I would say, 6 months. 6 months.
Yeah, that's really good. Did you what type of exercises did you do?
So because I was eating so little, so amount of calories I was consuming per day was about 1,000 to 1,200 calories max at the time. So
Mm.
that's why I say it was a little extreme diet because I was eating so little. And that's why I actually didn't exercise at the time at that much. It was mostly just from calorie deficit from just like not eating a lot. So,
Oh, gotcha.
and part of the reason was because I had a knee surgery before and I didn't want to exercise on like that's such a heavy weight at first. And it was just easier to
Mm.
just focus on one thing at a time. And that's actually a tip for people who's trying to lose weight or people who are trying to change like certain aspects in their life. I think is if you try to do all these big changes all at once in all your life, usually you don't have the willpower to change everything. You know what I mean? Like people are like, oh, I'm gonna eat clean, I'm gonna wake up early, I'm gonna exercise every day, I'm gonna do this and this. But then
Mm.
when you have all these things, that you run out of willpower, you run out of motivation. So if you just focus on one thing to change that's kind of big in your life and implement that first, it helps you maintain that better. But anyway, so I lost that weight, and the biggest thing I would say was like a big, like a confidence boost. Um, Even though like I've been lighter than before, like when I was in college, I was like in the 160, and so technically I'm still heavier than that, right? But after I lost that weight, I just felt like I'm like, dude, I'm like the hottest shit around, dude. Like I walk around, everybody's checking me out. I'm like looking in the mirror more often. I'm like, dude, I'm like looking so good, you know? So it was a big, big confidence boost. And I,
It's like it's like one of those like montages, pretty much like in a movie where like everybody's checking you out and like you're the main character pretty
yeah,
much, right?
exactly, exactly. So
Okay.
I got this like big confidence boost, and not just from that, but I think it also has to do with accomplishment. That when you work and put in your time into something and you accomplish it, right? You just feel that much more confident because you accomplished something after you put in the effort. So I think it's just
Mm.
like all these different factors, like yeah, one of like that, and then just me actually looking slimmer, and I'm able to fit into better clothes and those kind of things. That it's just like a domino. It's like a one, 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 and they all just keep getting better. So it was a big confidence boost, and that was around the time where I actually met my ex and we started dating. So like like actually, I think I don't know if it's because I actually did become more attractive, or it's my personality becoming more confident, or maybe it's a combination of those things
Mm.
that that I got a girlfriend. But um, so I still look back to that time. It's like, dude, I did that. Like I was eating so little, and but I had like all this willpower to do it, and I accomplished it. And I still kind of look back to that confident James sometimes. That I'm like, I can go back to that time. I'm the same person, so I can definitely do that again. So I
Mm.
still look back that time, and whenever I feel like I can't do something, or I feel like I'm not confident, or there's a big project, I'm like, I can do it. I feel pretty confident that I can do
Oh,
it.
I see.
So yeah,
Okay.
that's my story.
Okay. You know what's funny? Because I have a similar story. The experience I'm sharing is pretty much a very similar theme,
Mm-hmm.
but I I do see like a confidence boost because I'm pretty much doing very similar right now. I'm like very focused on myself
Mm-hmm.
and working out like majority of the week, and then also on like a low carb diet. It sucks, but it helps your confidence so much,
It does. It
and
does.
just like feeling good about yourself. My pharmacy friend, actually is trying to like get me into like working out and doing these things, and we share tips here and there. So we kind of like exchange like information, and then just motivate each other. And yeah, I think it helps, like looking forward to like I guess like trying on new clothes and things like that. Just like your self image, it's very important,
It
you
is.
know.
It is. I think it's strange because when I was younger, I didn't put care about how I looked. I think like it
Mm,
didn't matter to me too much. Like I didn't care how I
I see.
dressed and those kind of things. But then now that I think it's because I was always like a little bit chubby when I was a kid too. But when I lost that weight, because I felt more confident, I was like more excited to try on like nicer clothes. And I think like I said, domino effect. I think once you do one of those things for yourself, when you focus on yourself and you make an accomplishment or you make a step towards like a better you other things start to like kind of fall apart. You know what? I put get into fall in places. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. So do you still like implement what you've learned today, I guess? Like that, like I guess aspects of that working, or like diet and things like that. Not to that extreme, but I guess like similarities of that.
Uh, I do. I do. Of course, not the diet itself because that was a little extreme. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't do that anymore. But in terms of like just trying to maintain that willpower
Mm-hmm.
and getting like a momentum to get started on something, um,
Uh-huh.
and not gonna lie, I think there was like a period like the past couple months where I'm like feeling very stagnant and I wasn't doing
Mm-hmm.
anything, and like and that's why I'm like trying to focus more on myself right now. Um,
Mm-hmm.
more and I'm trying to be more proactive in life in general too. Where I'm
Yeah.
trying to improve and better myself. Which is like I said,
Mm-hmm.
why I said I wanted to start a project. Which is why I said like I want to start this podcast as a project to kind of keep myself
Mm-hmm.
busy, to say I've accomplished something. Like
Mm-hmm.
even if not a lot of people watch this, but if you are watching, share our podcast. But even even if people are not watching our podcast, if only like a handful of our friends are watching our podcast, the fact that we're
Yeah.
like meeting together and we're recording and we're like editing and we're like posting and sharing and
Yeah.
stuff as like a project together, I think is
Mm-hmm.
meaningful, and then like we're making a step towards our. It's like an investment to ourselves, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Yeah. I agree. You're right.
What about you?
Okay. So my thing is very similar.
Mm-hmm.
Themes, at least.
Right.
It's very I guess dealing with like a struggle too.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was in undergrad, I wasn't like the best student. Like I was just all over the place, and sometimes I get good grades, sometimes I don't.
Mm-hmm.
you know, it was hard for me to like manage my time. I guess that's like a very hard skill to like master and to build upon. But going into grad school, I was like, I'm gonna change this. I'm going to do something different. And there was this honors frat that if you're part of the top percent, I guess like couple percentage,
Mm-hmm.
they'll let you into the frat. And that's what I set my goal as. So in the beginning, I did pretty well in my grades here and there. Well, everybody coming into school, they focus really hard, but then it like kind of dies out a little bit. Like everybody comes in that with that mindset, I'm a crush this, I'm gonna crush this, and then it fizzles out a little bit after the willpower or whatnot fizzles out. But I I actually didn't do too well on one of my other classes, or not as well as I wanted to. So at that point, I was sort of like, this is probably it for me. I probably didn't make the cut. So what I did for myself, I was going to set it as a personal goal, not as a goal just to get into the frat. It was just more, I want to do well for myself. I want to see how well I could do.
Mm-hmm.
So I set that as my goal to just keep going, and I studied super hard. I learned how to study a lot better in grad school, and I guess one day they were passing out envelopes, and it was the honors frat, and they gave me one, and I was so surprised. I was so surprised. I didn't really know how to like react at that point, and and other people were surprised too.
What?
One of my classmates, one of my classmates, they were so surprised too. She was like, "Oh wow, really?" And I was like, I was joking around with her. I was like, "What do you mean, really?" And she was like, "Oh," and it was a pretty good compliment. She was like, "Oh, I didn't know you had brains and beauty." And I was like, "Okay,
Oh,
okay,
okay,
I'll take
okay,
that. I take
okay.
that." You know what I'm saying? I was like, "Okay, okay, thanks." But yeah, like things like that, and that reassurance. And another thing is, I guess, because my siblings, they're super smart.
Mm-hmm.
I believe they're super smart, and I feel like they could like hold up in like a debate, or uh, a lot of like, if they were to talk about any like intellectual you know idea or anything, they could hold up. But I could do similar, but it's not to that level. And I think for this, it really showed me that I could, if I put in the work, I could definitely get where I want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I kind of seen that maybe it's not just about because sometimes when I do something, I'm like, oh, would this give me results?
Mm.
But it's not always about like instant results. So that's where I learned to put the hard work, because you don't know where it takes you. And yeah. But one thing that kind of made me a little like feel some type of way was, after that, my classmates, they started, I guess, like treating me a little bit different, because they knew that I was in this honors frat.
Uh-huh.
So before, because we worked in teams, right? And we would solve problems.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh,
so
yeah.
so now they would ask me for my input, but
Uh-huh.
it's not like anything changed. I've
Right.
always had that input.
Mm-hmm. But
Like
now
I
they
had
listen
that
to you
same
more
input.
often.
Now they were like, "Oh, what does the honors student think?" And I was like, "What? That's so weird." It's just so crazy how just a small title, or a small
Yeah.
thing could change your
Perspectives. Yeah,
image.
your image.
Or
It's crazy.
But I was putting the same work, so it was so funny. I don't know, how would you, I guess, react if you this happened to you, I guess.
In that, like, where they didn't listen to me before, but after this, like, a title, they listen to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Honestly, my personality would straight up call them out on it. I would say, "Oh, how come you didn't listen to me before I got
Okay.
this?"
Wait, really?
I
You would
would,
say
I
that?
would
That's
actually say
that's
it,
hella
but
direct.
I would play it off as a joke. Like,
Oh,
I
okay.
think I like to like poke jokes at people. I guess it's a passive aggressiveness in a way, where I like to joke to people so that they're not like super offended by it, but I'm trying to still make a statement.
Mm-hmm.
So like
Okay.
I'm like, that's me saying to her, like, the person, to making that judgment call is like, yeah, you thought I was stupid, but I'm not stupid. It's kind of like that. Um,
Y'all thought I was
like
stupid.
y'all thought I
but
was stupid and did not contribute to the group. But it's it's just how I think the world works. I think we all do it too. I think I do it too. Where if I meet someone, they say, "Oh, I graduated from Harvard." I think I would try to sound less stupid when I'm around that person. I think like I think I would
Oh,
have that
really?
image of that person that would like, oh, like this person's from Harvard. This person must be really smart. And
Okay.
I think it's somewhat fair to say they probably did excel in certain things. Of course, you can't just you can't just scale intelligence on which college you went to or the degree you went to, or those kind of your IQ. There's because there's different kind of like intelligence, of course. But if you went to like a Harvard, you probably did something right and something pretty well to go there.
Okay.
I think it's somewhat fair to make that judgment. So.
Okay. Yeah. Makes sense.
But something you said is like when you say you were like you felt like you could once you put in the effort you could achieve something, right? Like you say you put in the effort and you got into the frat and you got people start recognizing you more and those kind of things. And I think, do you feel like sometimes people get stuck in that state of like they're not confident, not because they're actually not talented or they're not actually good looking or something, but partially because they just haven't put in the effort, and with like they haven't put in the effort, so they just kind of put themselves down. It's like before they even try, they're like, I'm not good, or I'm not smart, or I can't do it. You know what I mean? And that confidence also goes down with it.
Yeah, I could see that. I definitely see people being too safe in a sense that they're not willing to get out of their comfort zone, try something new,
Mm-hmm.
or I guess that's one type of like group. Not everyone's like
Not
that.
everyone's like that.
And then yeah, there's other people that probably needs to put effort or like work hard, but they're kind of lazy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know, they just won't go over that barrier because they just don't want to or they're too comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, yeah, I don't know. That's pretty much it for that. But do you have anything else to say?
I think was it's good to kind of it's a little different today, I think, than our other episodes where it's like a lot more
Mm-hmm.
lighthearted and just like a lot more joking around, or things that like we're just kind of poking fun at ourselves and those kind of things. um
Mm-hmm.
but I think it is good to kind of always push yourself into something. I
Yeah.
think recently I've been doing a lot of reflections, like how I stopped like getting online as much,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like I cut out socializing a little bit from my life in general, just to kind of focus on myself and trying to bring back that energy to like focus bettering myself and improving my life. So
Okay.
I think it was a good episode to just kind of talk about like our time when we were confident, and it's kind of
Do you have do you have any reflections you want to share with us? Anything that you've reflected recently?
recently.
You don't have to, but if you do,
um
you could save it for another episode, or you could share something.
I could share. So something I reflected on is to say less in a group setting to friends. Um,
Mm.
I think before I wanted to say all these things that I saw, all these social patterns, all these things that I've like recognized from people's actions and doing this and this, and like I think part of it is to kind of help them, right? But part of it I think is also to be like, yeah, I'm so socially adept and aware that I can see these things. I think it's a little bit of bragging in there, definitely. And I think it's kind of like there's like an old Asian saying. It's a lot better to just hold your like. This is not a direct translation, but it's like it's a lot better to just hold your tongue and listen 10 times before you speak. So I think I've been reflecting recently because I honestly talk a lot. I like to talk a lot and I like to share my thoughts a lot. I think it's the ENFP in me, honestly. But I think it's
We're gonna
ENFP in
talk
me.
about MBTI on this
We'll
episode.
get on MBTI later, another episode. But it just I like to share my thoughts on what I see and those kind of things. But I'm starting to think it's a lot better to just kind of share my inner thoughts a little less. I think it's better. Of course, you can still talk with your friends and interact and socialize. But in terms of like what I notice in people, why it's like I've noticed this and this in a social group. I've noticed that this person kind of behaves this way, and I'm learning. Like I'm feeling that it's better to just kind of hold my tongue on those matters because one, it can be toxic, when you talk about those kind of things. Um, it can come across like judgmental. It can be a little bit like gossipy. Um, so I think I'm trying to withhold myself from doing that too much. Do you feel like
Okay.
you how do you feel about that, like that kind of thing?
I feel I feel somewhere in the middle. I feel like sometimes I need to say something because no one's saying it, and I feel like someone's got to tell this person. Someone has to, and I'm gonna say as in the best way I can, but and I don't think I get anything back. You said it was like bragging rights. I don't really get anything back. I feel like I would actually lose. Because either way, I'm gonna sound like a bad guy because I'm giving the feedback or whatever. But I think sometimes people, if they're doing it too much, or there's some tension in the group, or some sort of issue, or I feel like there needs to be some feedback or a way to give that feedback to someone. But yeah, I agree on you. It doesn't have to be all the time, and there's a time and place for it. But I do think that there should be a talk, maybe, if it's getting I'm not sure if it's ruining the vibe of the group, or I'm not sure, in a sense that, or if they're making the group hate them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
in a sense where they're ostracizing themselves from the group. I would try to tell them, hey, you don't need to do this. You don't need to do all this stuff that you're trying to fit in. Just hang out with us and be yourself. Or you don't have to do certain things that you do. Just be here for us. Be here with us, hang out with us, have fun with us. That's all we ask. And then that's what I would tell them, because I don't want that person to be ostracized, or or like isolated from the group. I feel I feel like we're going into another topic. This is like another episode here.
Another episode.
But
yeah,
before, I would say when I was younger, I might have, in order to kind of protect the group, I might isolate individuals, or like give a little bit of warning on individuals. But now I try to integrate individuals. I try to tell them, hey, this is because this is how a friend group works. I feel like if someone doesn't like a person, they just talk, and then it just goes around, but it never gets to a person. Who's gonna give it to a person?
right.
And I've been in that instance where I have to give it to that person because no one's actually directly communicating to the person. So I have to tell it to a person. And I'm the bad guy, but I have to tell them to a person because I want them to be my friend. I want them to, and if they want to change or if they want to come back to the group, I want to give that opportunity for them. That's why.
I think the key difference is that for you, you like say to the person, and so it's more for like you're trying to help them, you know. And I think that's good. I think
Okay.
that's beneficial. Although, yeah, like you said, there should be time and place for it. Um, but I think for me, I was trying to imply more of a in a setting where they're in a group or they're not present. You know what I mean? So I guess it's
Okay.
more like a gossiping, I suppose. Um,
Okay. Gotcha.
yeah. So I think it's just better to just kind of just hold your tongue on that. And if you have an opinion of someone, I think
Mm.
it's best to keep it neutral when you express about them,
Mm.
unless like you're
Yeah.
speaking with friends and they just really want to vibe check like a new person coming into a friend group. And then I
Okay.
would like tell them, oh, this person is like this, like this. This person has this positives and this kind of negatives. But if we're already like if we're in a like a big group setting, social setting, and let's say I notice that this person was definitely hitting on this person, like this girl, right? And I'll be
Mm.
like, normally go to my friends like, yo, this person is definitely hitting on this person. It's I always say things like that. But I think
Mm.
even if I notice these things, I think it's best to just kind of hold to myself, just kind of think to
Oh,
myself,
okay.
and
Uh-huh.
just kind of if he is hitting on this person, as long as he's not being creepy and like like to that like on knowing the person, it's not my business to butt in.
Mm-hmm.
And if I notice
Okay.
it, I can just keep to myself. Or if someone wants to talk to me about it, and personally, and just like want to, like, they really want to talk to me about it, then okay, I'll talk to you about it. But I don't want to be the one to initiate this kind of conversation and start this.
You know what's funny? Because I feel like we see very similar patterns,
We do. We
but
definitely do.
we see similar patterns. And I agree. I agree that not every pattern has to be. Some patterns I actually don't say it to the individual because I feel like if they're conscious of it,
Mm-hmm.
they might actually begin to doubt that behavior. So I actually don't say patterns of those sort because I want them to continue to do that. So I actually don't say patterns like that.
Can
I
you
don't know if you.
elaborate on that? Like, what do you mean? Like, if you talk to them about it, they stop doing it. Like what? Like it's a good thing.
Yeah, it's like good behavior. They're
Mm,
doing. I think it's a beneficial behavior.
mm, I see. I see. Huh. I can
You
see
haven't
that.
noticed that, like, yeah, with people. I don't know. Some people. I don't have anything specific, but I could come up with one in like another episode or something.
Yeah. Honestly,
But
I feel like
yeah.
we can definitely get into this like whole social pattern recognition in another episode
Mm.
because we definitely love talking about like social pattern. Even though I just said I don't want to share these things, but it's like a topic we can talk about in a podcast. This
Yeah.
rounding podcast, I can just spill my thoughts that I don't want to share anymore into this public.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that was a lot of good reflection.
That's a big tangent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the big tangent, but yeah. So
Okay. You have any other remarks?
I think we're good. That's a good episode.
Okay. Yeah, we went a little bit over. Thank you guys for the feedback. We've been listening and trying to implement it. If you haven't heard, but yeah, we are the Memory Club podcast. Again, we're sort of a book club, but we share memories instead. I'm Vit.
And my name is James. Thank you for listening.
Peace.
Peace.